Hello gentle people, it is Loy here with another video, and I hope you all are doing well out there in YouTube land, wherever it is in the world that you are. Thank you very much for joining me. So today I wanted to talk about a book I kind of touched on a bit in my very first video, and I first came across this book back in maybe 1996 when I had just started college and I wanted to go to art school. And I remember calling home and telling my parents, and my dad was like, not happening at all. So I kind of put that to the side, and at the time I had just again come across this book, and I guess I wasn't ready for it at that point in time, so I put it down, and I would always have references to it at some different periods throughout my life. So either people would mention it, or I would see it in a bookstore, or just for some whatever reason it would just pop in and out of my life. But I held on to the copy that I had, and I never really made it too much past the first couple chapters. One of the things that I did start from reading that book though, well, the little that I did read, was the morning pages. And I started and stopped and started and stopped. But anyway, the book is this one right here. It's called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. And it's a spiritual path to higher creativity. And like I said, I probably wasn't ready for it at the first time that I saw it. And I put it down and never really troubled it again. And in recent times, I kind of started feeling for it, so I tried to find it. I don't know where my original copy is, so I ended up having to get another copy. So this is what it looks like, and the book was first published in, I soon tell you, 1992. So yeah, wow. I guess I came across it shortly after it was written, and then here I am in 2015 holding on to this book again, but actually making it further than I did the first time, because I'm in a place now where I'm more receptive to what the book has to say. So one of the very first things that Julia Cameron talks about in this book is the fact that art is a spiritual transaction. And there's this really big myth about the tortured artist, which is like a myth. And if you look back in history at a lot of artists that have lived throughout our time and before, and just creative people in general, it's like this tortured soul that has to suffer. And yes, some suffering does take place in creating art, but that's not the truth of it. If you feel like it comes from you and you're the source of it, then eventually, if that's not happening, then you're going to feel like a complete failure. And of course, you probably will crash and burn at that particular point in time. But one of the things that I've come to realize about art is that you're just basically a conduit for it. It has to come through you, which is why being open is so important. Surrendering. A lot of times I say, oh, you know, something just kind of popped out from the ether and I have to grab it before somebody else does. Because all of us have the ability to create, because we're all creative beings in co-creation with whatever you want to call your higher source, God, Buddha, Allah, Jah, whatever, the feminine, the divine. It comes from somewhere that's not you. You're just basically allowing the art and the creativity to come through you. And it doesn't matter if you're a fine artist or a photographer or a writer or an artist in terms of acting or singing or music or whatever the situation is. You have to be open to allow the process to occur, and you have to be willing, and you have to trust, and you have to have a lot of faith. And it's not easy. It's not easy by any means, but you get up and you show up every single day, which is why one of the first things I had also spoken about was showing up and doing a little bit just consistently. And it doesn't matter if it means, oh, you have 5 minutes to do something in pursuit of your particular creative goal. Work on making that thing happen on that particular day. So another thing that Julia Cameron talks about is the fact that your creative journey is almost like a mirage. It's like, you know, it's out there and you can't really see it, right? But you know it's there and you keep working towards it. But the downside is that 9 out of 10 times the people around you can't see it either. So if you're fortunate to have people that do see what you can see and do have the vision that you have, then lovely, honor those people and nurture those people. But if you don't have them, darling, sweetheart, you have to find them. And that's kind of the position that I'm in right now, and one of the reasons why I decided to do these videos, because I know there must be people out there like me who are in the position that I am, and if there's some message I can get across through my own journey that might help you, then that would just make me absolutely happy. So again, the people around you might not necessarily see what you're seeing, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do what you're trying to do and continue along your particular path. All right. So another thing is that creativity is basically energy that wants to express itself through you, right? Everything is energy. I mean, everything here looks pretty much solid, but you know, we really know it isn't. If you take anything, if you take this necklace and go and look at it underneath an electron microscope, all you're going to see is atoms and stuff floating around. Well, I mean, I guess you can't really see the atoms, I don't know, but it's all just energy and information, and that's what creativity is. And it's coming to us through this very higher source, and you have to allow it to express itself through you. It's basically energy moving through you. So creativity is like crabgrass, is something else that she says, and if you just tend to it a little bit, it's going to grow just this tiny little bit, which is why I think even if you're doing a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes every day, it doesn't matter. Creativity is something that it will just spring up. You just have to give it the opportunity. And she also talks about the fact that we are greater than what we're even capable of conceiving. And it almost sounded very biblical to me. And I'm not a religious person by any means, very deeply spiritual, but not, you know, like mainstream religious. And growing up in the church as a kid, that was one of the things that I remember, that it's like your tiny little brain, my tiny little brain, can't even begin to conceive or comprehend the things that God has in store for us. But you have to be willing and open and trusting and believe. All right. And then faith is required, is something else that she says. And people on a creative path need a sense of well-being and security. And if you're in a position to be that person for somebody else, by all means, be that person. And if you need people to be that for you, then take the opportunity to seek out people. We live in this big wide world where we can connect, right? Just like this, on the internet. So it doesn't even have to be somebody who is in your physical presence. Reach out and communicate with somebody who can give you a sense of security and a sense of well-being in pursuing your particular creative path. And we need solitude as artists, as creative people, but we also need company in, or I should say around, people who can honor us just as much as we're honoring them. So ask for what you need and be willing to open to receive it, and believe that is actually going to happen, because artists pretty much work on a wing and a prayer, and you kind of have to be faithful. That's one of the things that I was looking at in my notes that she says here. So the artist way is considered a course in discovering and recovering your creative self. And I like the word recover because it's not like it ever went anywhere. It's always there. It will always be. I remember a while back, I don't know what it was I was struggling with at the time, and my son, King Kai 100, check him out below, he said to me, "Mom, I'm going to be your personal imagination coach and help you to remember what it was like to be a kid." And at the time when he said it, I kind of laughed it off. And you know, thinking back on it now, it had such deeper implications. And you know, being around children really does make a difference, because they kind of help you to see things through different eyes. So I do have my own personal little imagination coach, and you know, if you don't have one and you don't have kids, find one. They're really good with this imagination stuff, and you kind of have to be childlike again. All right, so just some things to think about, the artist way. by Julia Cameron, A Spiritual Path to Higher Creativity. Definitely check it out. Check it out in your library. Go to Amazon, wherever. I would encourage it. It's a good read, and I will definitely be talking about it again. So thank you very much for joining me. This is Loy, and that's it for today. All right? Peace.